to talk with Mr. Simon Haines, a person who spent years studying history, archaeology, English, and then he traveled, and finally he's here in Lubusz region, and he lives here. And I know you have some questions for him. What's the plan? I will ask some people, and I will ask you to ask your questions, which you handed in first. So, is Ola connected? Ola Widecka, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Simon, can we start with the first question? Oh, we can't hear you.
And now, can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So yeah, the first question. I'm waiting patiently.
All right, Ola, can you start?
Okay, so hello. I would like to ask, why did you choose Poland to live in?
Ola, you don't have your camera switched on. Can we see you?
Because I'm not at home and I can't use my camera now.
Okay. Why did I choose Poland to live in? About 20 years ago, I was teaching English in England, at a university in England, and I guess felt the urge for some sort of adventure in life. And there were plenty of jobs in most countries for native speaker teachers, but I was interested in Poland because when I was a small child, I collected postage stamps, and my best collection of stamps was from Poland. So I had a lot of postage stamps from the 1970s and the 1980s and learnt about Polish history through these stamps. So I kind of decided on Poland for a very strange reason. The fact that I had a nice collection of Polish postage stamps. And that was 20 years ago. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because I think that for most people, Poland is not so interesting to visit.
I think Poland is a great country and becomes greater year by year. It's changed dramatically in 20 years, and in 20 years' time it will be much better again. It's a great country. But 20 years ago, I think not so many people knew about Poland in Western Europe, which is a shame, because it is a very good country. No, but it should be. I mean, even for holidays, I think people from England and from all over the world should come here for a vacation, because it's a beautiful country and the people are great.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second question is, which place would you like to visit first after coronavirus?
Okay. My Polish is not great, but I would like to visit a place called Czyzna. I have a poster. I have a lot of posters on my wall here in Lubnowice, and one of them is of a steam train, a place called Czyzna. C-I-S-N-A. And I looked this place up, and I think it's in the far southeast of Poland. And so when the lockdown is finished, I would like to travel to the southeast of Poland and visit this place called Czyzna, and go on the little train that goes through the forest there, a steam train. That would be my preferred destination after this lockdown.
I hope it will happen soon.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, having to stay inside, not meet friends, family, and the situation is terrible, really. I hope it's going to end very soon. But one of the places that I will visit is Chisna. Have you ever been to Chisna? Do you know where Chisna is?
I think some of us Train Festival in next year. What's the name of this small city where there's annual train festival?
Volston.
Volshin.
Yeah. And yeah, I've been to the Volston train festival, steam train festival, quite a few times because one of my major sort of hobbies is railways. But I've never been to this place, Chisna. But I have a massive poster on my wall of this steam train in Chisna. I think it's near Ukraine, very close to the Polish-Ukrainian border. Yeah. So it will take a long time to get there, probably 12 hours or something. Okay, who's next?
Natalia?
Okay, so I have...
Hello, Natalia.
How many travels have you had, and which one was the most exciting?
I think the most interesting, the most exotic was about 18 years ago. I went to India for the summer. So I got a job working for the Max Planck Institute in Holland, and I helped them with a linguistics experiment, a psycholinguistics experiment. So we were traveling all around India to different places in India and conducting experiments in terms of reaction times to different languages, different sounds in different languages. And so that was an all expenses paid trip to India. And I traveled really most of the country and for free. So that was my best trip to date. But a long time ago now, about 17 or 18 years ago. Who was that? That was Natalia. Natalia, where's the best place you've been so far?
Best place, I think it's Canarian Islands.
Okay.
I have been there 10 years ago, I think. And there is very great weather and also best places for children to play. That's why I love that place. And animals, there are amazing because I could see many parrots and small new insects that I hadn't known before. So that's why I think Gran Canaria is the best place where I have been to.
I've never been to the Canary Islands, but I've heard from a few people it's a great place to visit. One day I'll try and go. And it's very warm there. It's a hot place because it's kind of closer to Africa than Europe in a way. My brother's been there and he liked it very much. How did you get there? Did you fly from Poznan or from Berlin?
I had a flight from Berlin.
Okay, yeah. Nice holiday. Where are you going to go after this lockdown? Do you have a holiday planned?
I had, but now because of that lockdown, I'm not sure if we go to Bulgaria.
Okay, that's another nice place, Bulgaria. Yeah.
Yes.
The Black Sea.
But we aren't sure, me and my family aren't sure if we go there that holiday, but maybe next.
Okay, yeah, super. Okay, yes, one doesn't know because of this lockdown, but Bulgaria is another one of those countries that I'd like to visit, like along with Georgia. This is like a country, and sort of Russia direction. I'd like to go there. That's supposed to be a very nice place. but Bulgaria too, and Romania is supposed to be very attractive and quite cheap. Yeah, so there are plenty of places I'd like to go, but because I work as a teacher, then money is limited. Yeah, Bulgaria, and that would be a good place to go on holiday. Yeah, do you have any other questions, or just that one question?
Yeah, let's jump to Claudia.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a question. What are your favorite books and authors?
Okay. I read a lot, so it's quite difficult to think of like the best book that I like. And I think it's a book called The Midwich Cuckoos. Midwich Cuckoos. This is by English science fiction writer called John Wyndham, and in this story it's set in an English village, and suddenly overnight all of the women in this village become pregnant. So this is like everyone from about 16 years old to about 70 years old. They suddenly become pregnant, and the father is some kind of alien. And 9 months later, the mothers give birth to these almost identical kind of children, and these children have special powers. This is my favorite book. It's The Midwich Cuckoos, written by John Wyndham. And John Wyndham is a very good writer. Lots of great stories. There's one called Chrysalids. There's another one called The Kraken Awakes, The Day of the Triffids. I like all of his works. If you get a chance, read something by John Wyndham. He wrote in the 1950s and the 1960s. Yep. Next question.
Okay, and another one.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you like, and do you listen to Polish artists?
I also like music. I play guitar, or try to play guitar. I like progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, some jazz, blues, classical music. I've got a big collection of CDs and vinyl records, and have a Spotify account, the premium one with playlists. I listen to music most of the day. Polish artists, there's a group called Riverside. They're progressive rock. I think they're from Warsaw, and they sing in English. And they're internationally known, and they play concerts in England, in America, all over the world. These are my favorites. This is my favorite group, Riverside. Have you heard of them, Claudia?
No, I haven't.
The last concert I went to was somebody called Kazik. Do you know this guy? Kazik? No? He's Polish. Okay. Chris, do you know Kazik?
Yeah, of course. I think we were in the same concert together.
We went, yes. So.
Yeah, he originated from like 80s early punk music, and Kazik Marzywa, there are plenty of musical projects he took part in. He sings very political songs, so it's quite easy to hear them from time to time, and he appears many times in Woodstock and Poland.
Yeah, I think he's a good artist. He's the one who did this song like Polska, that's the one I remember, but that wasn't him as a solo artist. That was him with Colt, I think.
I think students might know the song 12 groszy or Gołota.
Oh yeah, that's one of his more famous ones. So modern Polish music, I don't know so well, apart from this group Riverside. And actually, Poland is well known throughout the world for progressive rock. and there are some really well-known, internationally known progressive rock groups from Poland. But as far as pop is concerned, maybe not. But progressive rock, Poland is right there at the top in terms of internationally known groups. And you should check out Riverside because they're really good. Okay, next question.
And now it's time for Maya. Maya, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
But you moved away from the camera. Okay, and maybe Maya. Oh, you're there.
Wait, because okay, never mind. I'm here.
Ah! Okay, I know Maya. Yes, hello Maya. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Maya's one of my favorite students. She's like a star English speaker. Yes. Well done. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So how are you, Maya?
I'm actually really good. Yeah, I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you too. Well, you're sitting on your sofa in your living room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And how's Casper?
He's sitting next to me.
Is Casper also happy?
Are you happy?
I can't see him, but he's there somewhere, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Hello, Casper. Yeah. So,
That's fine.
Maya, you have a question you want to ask me?
I wanted to ask what is the most interesting thing about living in Poland, or like the differences between Poland and England.
The most interesting thing about living in Poland. I think there are not that many differences between living in England and living in Holland, in Germany, or in Poland, because they're almost the same level economically, I think, and culturally very, very similar. The most interesting thing for me is the fact that my Polish is not very good. So every day is kind of some sort of adventure, because of the language problems. But otherwise, it's the same living here as anywhere else. I should restart my Polish lessons and try again with Polish. That's what makes life interesting here. The fact that it's not so good. Yeah. So usually I struggle in some kind of mixture of Polish and English. Yeah. All right. So, another question?
I think I had another one, but already answered that, so it's fine. You can move on to someone else now.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so only one question, yes?
So, Yula, are you there?
Me or not me?
Yula.
Oh, I also know Julia. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
hi.
Yeah. All right. How are you?
Oh,
Okay,
good.
so Julia.
Okay, so it's my time. So as you already told us, you have some problem with Polish language. My question is, what is the hardest thing about living in country that you don't know the language of?
Well,
I know it's hard in general, but what is the hardest thing about that?
yeah. I think the hardest, the most difficult thing that I come across is when I have to go to an office, like, because I run my own business, so I have to go to the tax office, to the Zeus office, and register cars. And recently I changed my driving license from a British one to a Polish one. The hardest thing is dealing with those kind of petty bureaucrats in offices, because in general they're not very nice, they're not polite, rather rude, and they're not flexible in terms of understanding Polish. If you say something in Polish and it's not absolutely correct in pronunciation, then the standard reply is something like so that is the most difficult thing. I try to struggle like in communicating with them, but generally, recently I've resorted to bringing a friend along. So I've got 2 or 3 friends, and they translate for me.
That's a good idea. Actually.
Yes, it is, but actually, that's one thing Poland should change, in my opinion. There are way too many people working in these small offices doing jobs that actually could be done much more efficiently online or even by postal mail. But there are people with rubber stamps shuffling pieces of paper, and this is where all of the tax money is wasted on people who don't need to be employed and are in fact not very helpful. Yes. Next question.
I agree.
Thank you. Do you have another question, Julia?
No, it's my
Okay. When are you going to have Skype lessons with me? Because you haven't had any Skype lessons.
We can talk about it.
All right. So yes.
Okay.
Talk to me later about this because, so we haven't had lessons since the lockdown thing began.
Yeah. And now we laughed about this coronavirus, and now we laughed.
Yes, and now the nightmare has come true. Yes. All right. So contact me later about the Skype thing.
Sure.
Good. Okay. And no more questions.
So,
okay.
Marcel? Marcel,
Yes. My first question is, what question would you like to ask a time travel from 200 years in the future?
Oh. Okay. What question would I like to ask a time traveler from 200 years in the future? Okay. That's an interesting one. Maybe I'd like to find out what happened to the human race after this coronavirus lockdown, and how many people actually did die as a result of this, and how quickly society got back to normal. So I would ask a question related to what's happening right now, with the coronavirus, COVID, and this whole sort of international, not conspiracy, but something strange happening around this coronavirus. Yeah, that's a good question, though. Next question.
Yes. Which time period would you like to visit in history, and why?
Okay. That's also a good question. And it's a difficult one to answer because I'm interested in history, and when I was a student at university, I studied like early history, so Anglo-Saxons, Romans, Vikings. So I'm quite interested in that period. But personally, I read a lot about the Second World War and the interwar period. So I'd like to travel back in time to, say, Landsberg in 1941, 1942, 1943, and see how Gorzów was during the wartime years, how much different it was. And physically it looked a lot different, but also I'd like to wander the streets of Gorzów, Landsberg, during the Second World War or just before, if I could. Yeah, so 80 years ago, back in time.
Thank you.
Next question.
I think next.
Oh, okay. Can I ask who was that? That was Marcel. Marcel, how about you? Where would you like to go back in time? To what time period?
I would not a time period, but I would like to go to the time where Poland was Polish People's Republic, when there was communism, and see what it really was like, where there was where people were poor, or there was the best time of Poland had ever?
That would also be interesting, because you hear a lot of conflicting opinions about life during those communist years, and some people, like older people especially, many of them actually look back with kind of yes, they seem to have enjoyed living through this period. But then there are plenty of people who had a different opinion. So that would be something good, I think, to go back and see for yourself exactly what it was like during those years. Like, for example, the 1970s, 1974, that I would choose to go back to that year, I think, because that was sort of like a boom year, I think, in terms of Poland's communist history. I wouldn't like to go back to the, say, 1946 or 1947, because that was a terrible time for everybody. But maybe the 1970s, that would be interesting, and possibly the late 80s, when the communism was coming to an end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You like history, Marcel?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good questions. So who's next?
Is Gosia Kostrubiec there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Great to see you. So, can you?
Okay, hi. So,
Hello,
what
Gosia.
seems to be, in your opinion, the harder part of English?
I'm sorry, the connection wasn't so bad. What seems to be
The hardest part of English.
what seems to be the hardest part of English? I think English is quite an easy language to master in terms of being able to communicate in it. Not like Polish, which is a very difficult language if you're learning it as a second language. But I think maybe the pronunciation of some words, because the spelling is not, if you look at a word, it's sometimes difficult to know how to pronounce that word because of the spelling oddities in English. Grammar, I think, is more simple than you think, so that's not something which is very difficult. I think probably the hardest thing for most students is just to get over this fear of actually speaking and using the language, because at school I think you do a lot of work with grammar and exercises related to grammar. This is something you can master quite easily, but using the language is something different. So I think actually becoming fluent is maybe one of the difficult things. And English has a lot of words, so you should learn a lot of words. Another question?
So, do you consider Polish accent of English as really audible? Because when we hear someone from Russian or Hindi, we talking English, we hear that they are from that country.
Okay, yeah. I think I can usually tell where somebody comes from who's speaking English, including Polish people, because they generally have a fairly distinctive accent. But it's better than Indian speakers of English, because usually their English is fairly dreadful. On the whole, I think, especially with younger people under, say, 40 who know English, their English is very intelligible. It's like it's not a problem understanding what they're saying. And some people have very nice accents, but it takes a lot of work to get rid of the sort of Polish tinge. But it doesn't matter, I think, in terms of being able to communicate. Even if you have a slight Polish accent, it's easy to understand for anybody who speaks English, I think. Unlike, as you said, Indian English, which is very difficult to understand sometimes, and Chinese English is the same. But Polish English, or English spoken with a Polish accent, is generally good.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Gosha. Yes, yeah.
Tobiasz, can you?
Okay, hello. My first question is, do you believe in Loch Ness legend?
Do you believe in?
Loch Ness legend?
Do I believe in the Loch Ness legend? I think it's, well, no. In short, there is no Loch Ness monster, but it was a good thing to attract tourists to Scotland. And I think that was why it was invented, to get people to go and visit Loch Ness. There is no monster there, but it's a very beautiful part of the world. Mountains, this loch, lots of wild areas. But no, I don't believe in the Loch Ness monster. Okay. Next one.
And the second question is, what's your favorite emoji?
What's your favorite
emoji?
I think I mostly use the tongue out kind of emoji. This kind of thing. That's the one I use mostly, so it must be my favorite one. And what's your favorite emoji?
I think I mostly use the face with tears of joy, something like this.
Oh yes, yeah. I've got a girlfriend of sorts, a friend who's a woman. She often uses this one, like after almost every text. So yeah, that one is a popular one. Second favorite? What's your second favorite?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, not from me.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's now jump to Ania. Ania, can you ask?
Yes. Hello. So I was wondering if you could
Hello,
choose a
Ania.
place. Hi. If you could choose a place to live again, would you choose Poland?
Yeah. So when I chose Poland, then I chose Poland, as I said earlier, mostly because I liked Polish postage stamps. But at the time, I was thinking that I might spend a year here and then go to somewhere where I could earn a lot of money teaching English. So like Saudi Arabia, or Japan, or Taiwan. But that was 20 years ago, and I think money's not so important. I like Poland, so I've never regretted moving to Poland. It's a great country. So no, yeah, even I could go to another country right now and live, I suppose. Maybe not with these lockdown restrictions, but I won't, because I like living in Poland. Next question.
Is there a big difference between Polish and English society? Did you notice that?
Not really, no, because I think English and Polish people are very, very similar in terms of character. The only difference is that most of England is Church of England, so Protestant rather than Catholic. So you have slightly different traditions connected with church, but those differences are small because the Protestant and the Catholic Church are closely connected. So the only difference that I could identify is in some of the religious ceremonies and festivals. Otherwise, no. And the language, of course. But in terms of culture and people, characters, very, very similar. Next question.
I think these were all from Hania.
Okay.
So, Miłosz, can you?
Miłosz, okay.
Hello. Apologies for the lack of camera.
Okay. Yeah. This is because you've switched it off, or because it doesn't work?
Technology likes to backstab me, so it did it again.
All right. Okay. So, hello, Miłosz. Yes. What are your questions, or what is your question?
What is your favorite spot to visit in Lubuskie to wind down and chill out, just have some rest?
There are plenty of places here. I live in Lugnowice, which is about 30 kilometers south of Gorzów, So Ludnowice is a really nice place. 2 or 3 lakes, lots of smaller lakes in the forest around. But if I went somewhere outside of Ludnowice, I guess I would go to Wagów. Have you ever been to Wagów?
I don't.
Lagow. It's about 25 kilometers south of Ludnowice, so around 50 kilometers from Gorzów. This is a nice place. It has two big lakes. It's a small town, but with a castle in the middle, and you can go to the top of the castle tower and look out for miles around. So Wagów is a place I go quite often. It's about 50 kilometers from Gorzów. And there are other nice places. For example, Krynica, which is sort of northwest of Gorzów. This is a nice place with a lake. And other places just outside Lubuskia, like Barlinek. Those are nice. Where's your favourite place in Lubuskia?
Well, that's hard to tell. I don't really go out too much, but I have this one nice spot in Gorzów. It's on the boulevard side of the riverbank of Barta. It's not directly on the boulevard, but rather to the left side of it. There is a new pavement being done there. It's a nice side, basically. There's some grass, some rocks, and the river. You can just watch the river flow and just sit down and chill out. It's a really nice place in summer.
So this is between that big sort of new bridge, I think they call it, and the bulwark, somewhere parallel to Warszawska Street, but along the river Warta. Or are you saying on the other side of the Warta, closer to the second high school?
No, on the side of the cathedral.
Okay, all right. So I'll have to check that out because I've not been exactly there before. So you can walk from the centre to, I don't know, to Warszawska roundabout where the Statoil and Pizzeria OK is along the river.
It's
is this what you mean?
Close. Yeah, there's there's a stairway. Behind OK. You go down to some railway tracks you have to cross, and there is this like grassy place. There is a bridge near there.
Yes. Sometimes you get people having parties there, or you did get people having parties there on a Friday or a Saturday night under that bridge there. I think I've seen people. Yeah,
I go to the right side of that, so there is no glass or anything.
Okay, so next time I'm in Gorzów, I'll try to walk along there. So I've not been exactly to that spot. Yeah. Okay. Another question?
I think that was all from Miłosz.
Okay. Thanks, Miłosz. Yeah. So who's next?
Paweł Tresztań.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Hello, Paweł. Hey, you've got quite an impressive beard there.
Thank you.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 18 for about a month or two, maybe.
18 with such a big bushy beard. That's really good. Yeah. And not great like mine. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. All right. So Paweł, what's your question?
Well, I'd like to ask you. I'm a tea person myself, and I heard about many legends like Yorkshire or maybe Lipton. So I thought you could tell me what is, in your opinion, best tea that's it's served in England, in UK as well.
Ooh, you can't see, but I've got a massive collection of tea. I'm a big tea lover. Over in this direction is my kitchen, and I have lots and lots of different teas. I think my favourite tea is from Ceylon black tea, and there's a type called orange pekoe, and this is a leaf tea, and I think supposedly the best tea in the world. So this would be my favourite tea, but I like all sorts of tea. I even like Lipton's Yellow Label. That's quite drinkable. And there's a company called Dilmar which make nice teas. How about you? What's your favourite tea?
I always wanted to try Yorkshire Selling Gold, but well, it's hard to obtain in Poland, so I never actually drank it.
Yeah, I've got some Yorkshire tea, but it's not the Ceylon Gold. It's another one. Actually, I've not opened that packet. Somebody gave it to me as a present, and it's a nice package with a cricket scene on the packaging. But yeah, it's difficult to buy that one in Poland. I saw this in the Czech Republic a few months ago. I was in Prague, and there are many shops that sell British things, and they did have Yorkshire tea there, but I've not seen it for sale in Poland. Maybe in Berlin you could buy this, because the Germans also like British tea and food, I think. Yeah. So your standard tea, what's the one you drink every day? Do you like Lipton's?
Well, yes, but actually, I don't have like a mug every day. We have in Askana, this shopping center.
Yeah.
We have shop called, I don't remember its name, but it has a green banner, and they sell very, very good teas. Like cherries in rum is like my favorite fruit tea. Maybe not fruit. It's not fruitish, maybe. Tiffany's breakfast from those flowerish teas.
Okay. Tiffany's breakfast.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Where's this? Is this Askana or Nova Park?
Askana, I think. Askana. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think because of the parking thing, mostly I go to Nova Park, but I'll check out this place in Askana, because it's probably open again now. Is it or not?
Yes, it is. I fully recommend it.
Yeah. All right. So what day is it? It's Thursday. I'll go there on Saturday and have a look. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Pavel. Another question, or that's it?
Yeah, I have a second question. So I heard about a term called train spotting, but I'm not sure what is that, and I'd like to ask you about train spotting. Like, could you tell anything about it?
Well, there was a film in the 1990s called Train Spotting, but I think it had no connection to trains. This was about people in Edinburgh, I think, who were addicted to drugs. It's a very good film called Train Spotting. But train spotting itself is going to a railway station with some kind of notebook and writing down the numbers of all the trains that you see. I don't know if I can... hang on a second. Wait. I don't know if you can see this, but here, can you see that? Here is a book that I had when I was about 10 years old, and it's called British Railways, Locomotives and Other Motive Power. And inside, you have pictures of all of the locomotives with the numbers of all of these trains. So you would go to your railway station and aim to see every single train in your book. So that's what train spotting is, looking at locomotives, trains, and writing down the number which is on each train. So it was a popular kind of hobby for kids 10, 11, 12 years old. And that is my book from many, many years ago. Yeah. So that's train spotting. Look, collecting numbers of trains. Next question.
Well, that's my last one. And it's about your description for when I've found the information about meeting on Facebook. It was written that you like Land Rovers, those cars. Why do you like them so much?
I've got two Land Rovers actually. One is a Land Rover Freelander, which is a bit like a car, I guess like a Nissan RAV4, this kind of model. And I don't really like this car. My favourite car is a Land Rover Defender I've got. This is more like a tractor. So it's very, very slow, but very strong. And this one is an old one from the 1980s. And I like driving forest tracks, unsurfaced roads. This car will drive anywhere, but at a slow speed. And it looks different. It looks like, I don't know, like a child has designed it. It's lots of straight lines. So I like the look of this, and I like the fact that it will last forever if looked after. I read a fact the other day that more than 70% of all Land Rovers ever built since 1946 or 1947 are still on the road. So this is a car that lasts forever, and like in that case, it's like ecologically very sound. And so every car built by Land Rover, or 70% of cars built by Land Rover ever, are still driving around on the roads. And I think that beats every other company by a long way, because most cars, I don't know, last for about 10 years and then they're scrap, but not with Land Rovers. Yeah, so that's why I like Land Rovers. The look and the fact they're very strong. Pavel, any more questions?
No, thank you, that's all, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pavel. Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for Mateusz.
All right. Hello.
Hello, Mateusz. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I see you, Mateusz, you have behind you what looks like a number plate from an English car, yes?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
How did you get this? You took it off of somebody's car?
No, actually, I spent my last holiday working in England for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And on one of my cycling adventures, I
found this?
Yeah, I found it and polished it, and now I have it hanging on my wall.
And a nice souvenir, yes. What were you doing? What kind of job did you do in England?
I worked as a waiter in Ilfracombe, North Devon.
Okay, so Ilfracombe is a place that I used to go very often when I was a child, because Devon is right next to Somerset. I come from Somerset, which is the county just east of Devon.
Yeah.
And on a summer Sunday we would go to Ilfracombe quite often. Did you like Ilfracombe?
Actually, I were there like for the 10th time in my life.
Okay, so you do like Ilfracombe, yes.
Yeah, but it was my first time working,
Mm-hmm.
first year. And I really enjoy Devon.
It's a great place, yes.
We've got my, maybe not family, but close acquaintances there. So we keep in touch, and I often go there.
This year, I guess it's not going to be possible, but
unfortunately, I really enjoy for the beaches there and that unique English climate.
Okay. So, but the summer is not so bad. But really, Ilfracombe is a great place. And you're lucky to be able to have gone there like many times. So really a nice place. Did you like working as a waiter?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing to me was mastering my language skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So
okay, yeah. So you improved your English there. Did you notice that lots of people are kind of difficult to understand in their English, even if they're from England?
Yes. Sometimes I just had to concentrate while picking up those orders. I knew the list, but some people pronounce the words in many different ways,
Yes,
So,
especially from different parts of England,
yeah,
like
for
Manchester,
example,
Birmingham.
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Near Liverpool. So, like one word, for example, sandwich. It could be pronounced in many different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the accents in England are really confusing sometimes. I once met this guy on the train. I was studying at Sheffield, which is in Yorkshire, at the university there, and I went to Leeds, and I was talking to another passenger, and he could identify where different passengers on this wagon, on this coach, actually were from. Not just Yorkshire, but Leeds, York, Sheffield, from the way that they were speaking. So like, even individual towns and cities within a small area of England have got different accents. And that's something quite strange when you look at Polish, because in Polish speakers, okay, the people in the mountains speak a bit different, and maybe people in Poznan, but in general there's not much difference, not like in English. And it's the same with American English as well. There are lots of varieties of this and accents. So yeah, that's a good way of learning English, going there and working. You can earn some money and definitely get exposed to lots of different types of English. Okay, Matt, what questions did you have?
So I've got two questions strictly connected with Great Britain.
Yeah.
And one of them is, what's your favorite region in Great Britain and why?
Okay, so it would be my home region, so the southwest, Somerset, Devon, Cornwall and Dorset. That southwest of England is picturesque, beautiful, not industrial. Most people live in houses, not flats. It's green. Agriculture is the main sort of source of income, and tourism. I think that's my favourite, southwest England, where I come from. It's very traditional.
So your answer was quite predictable.
Well, sorry about that, Matt. Yes. Okay, the next question.
And what's the most significant difference for you, in your opinion, between small villages in Poland and those in Great Britain?
Do you know the answer to this question yourself?
I would like to hear your opinion.
Okay, all right. So, so in England, probably the more educated and wealthy people live in villages. So I think this is the opposite of the case in Poland. Those with not so much money and maybe slightly less educated are the ones that live in villages. But in England, it's reversed. So if you've got money, then the first thing you do is to move to a village, the country. And that's not quite the case in Poland. I mean, there are villages which are quite middle class, I guess, like Kładowa, Fałęcice, but a lot of villages are quite economically disadvantaged in Poland, and it's the opposite in England. So the type of people who live in a village in England is completely different to the type of people who generally live in a village in Poland. That would be my answer. You can't compare a village in England with one in Poland, because most people, I think, want to live in a city in Poland, and most people would prefer to live in a village in England. Yeah. And how about you? Where do you live? Do you live in Gorzów or somewhere else?
Yeah, I live in Gorzów.
Okay. Yeah. When you finished your high school, you graduate from university, where would you like to live?
I don't really know. It depends on my job, what type of job. If I can do it, like from home, I would consider living in a smaller village.
Yeah.
If I, for example, need to visit my office every day,
it's more difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to live in the city center probably.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, ideally, like a flat right in the center of the city, and a country place like for weekends or holidays.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I live in Lubnovice. It's mostly because it's a really beautiful place to live, but it's a drag having to go to Gorzów for lessons, 30 kilometers there, 30 kilometers back. Not just in terms of time, but also in terms of the cost of the fuel. So monthly, it's quite a large bill. So yeah, if I was rich, I would keep this Lubnovice place and buy a flat in the center of Gorzów, maybe one of those old German tenement buildings in Krobrego or Fadrat. I like that area. Yeah, a mixture of city and country. Any more questions?
No, thank you. It's all from me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Julia, are you there? I can't hear you. Can anyone hear Julia?
No. Maybe she's disappeared.
No, she's there. She's trying to say something. Okay, Julia, we'll give you a minute more, okay? Maybe you need to reset. Okay, can we go over to Szymon?
Yes, I'm ready. So, good afternoon. My question is, what's your favorite Polish dish, and is it widely available in the United Kingdom?
I think until about 15 years ago, it was difficult to buy any kind of Polish food in England. But since Poland joined the European Union, there are small shops, Polish shops in most small towns and cities. So you can buy most things now. But my favorite Polish dish is bigos. And I make this myself. So I've kind of adapted the hunter's stew, the traditional bigos recipe. And I use more tomatoes in this recipe than most Polish people do. But that's my favorite. Followed closely by pierogi ruski, which is the potato and onion cheese dumpling. I like this one very much. But in general, I like Polish food, and that's why I'm the size that I am. Because I think Polish food is quite hearty. It will make you fat if you eat too much of it. But I like the taste of it very much. Yeah. Bigos and pierogi ruski. And next question?
No, I'm done with those. Thank you.
Okay, right. So who's next?
Gabriel Dolenga, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, can you?
Yeah, so hi Simon.
Hello, Gabriel. We're going to meet later also for another lesson, yes?
Yeah.
At 5:20 in a few hours, yeah. So, Gabriel, you're the third person that I know here this afternoon. What's your question?
So, my first question is, after living in England, did you intend to come to Poland right away? Or did you plan live in another country?
I sort of answered this question earlier. So I was kind of thinking about Taiwan, Japan, Saudi Arabia, also Sweden and Finland, but Poland was my first choice. And those were like places that I would have liked to have gone later, but actually I didn't. So Poland was my first choice, but I did consider other countries. Mostly because of money. So Poland wasn't the choice in terms of economics, but I like Poland, and I like Polish history, and the country is a great one. Next question.
Okay, so my second question is, are you interested in any sport, watching or playing? if you are a sports fan, which team and player is your favorite?
Sports. The only sports that I do, I guess, are archery, which is like Robin Hood style, firing a bow and arrow, and kayaking. I have a kayak and a canoe, and I kayak and canoe. In fact, I was planning to go kayaking on a lake in between Lubnovice and Rogi on Sunday. Kayaking, canoeing, and archery. I used to like playing cricket, but I haven't played cricket recently. I think Chris is going to start up a kind of cricket club or do some kind of cricket activity at your school. And if he does, then I'll come along and help. But I haven't played cricket for a long time. I don't really support any kind of teams because I don't like football, which is the obvious kind of team supporting kind of sport. If there was a football match between, say, Poland and England, I think now I would support Poland. So I would like Poland to beat England in a football match. Even though I spent the first 30 years of my life in England, my preference would be for Poland to beat England. So I would support Poland in a match against England, which doesn't seem very loyal, but that's the truth. Gabrielle, next question.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, all right, good. So I'll see you later then. Yeah.
See you later, yeah.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Yeah.
Okay. Julia, is your microphone working now?
It seems not.
Okay, let's give her a second more. Gabriela, can you ask your question?
Hello. I would like to ask you, how hard do you consider Polish to be in terms of learning it as a British person?
Hello, Gabriela. Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yes, I can understand a lot of Polish, but producing Polish is something different. I think my mouth is kind of, I don't know, stuck in the English way of pronouncing things. So when I try to say things in Polish, even though I know the words that I've got to use to convey whatever it is I want to convey, people don't understand my Polish. So the hardest thing about Polish is the pronunciation. So followed closely, I guess, by the grammar, but I've never tried to really study Polish grammar because I know it's incredibly difficult, even for Polish speakers to master. But for me as an English speaker, the pronunciation is very, very difficult. And even like silly things, like because I run my own school, my own language school, I have to collect invoices. So when I go and fill my car up with gas, with diesel, sometimes they don't ask me if I'd like an invoice, a factura. And like even things like this I find quite difficult. Like, for example, I'm there, I'm paying for my diesel, and say, poproszę faktura. And the guy or the woman on a few different occasions hadn't understood what I'm saying. So I know that those are the correct words, and for me they sound correct, but some people don't understand my Polish. And even simple things where I think I'm saying them correctly, they don't sound right. So pronunciation is the most difficult thing for me in terms of Polish. Next question.
I mean, the other questions I had were already answered, so that's all.
Okay. Is your hair, what color is it? Is it green?
I know it's blue, but it's kind of washed out already. So.
Okay. Yeah. Is that your usual color, or do you change? Like sometimes it's green, sometimes yellow, sometimes blue.
I feel like because I change my color a lot, but I always go back to blue.
Okay,
that's
the one you really go back to. And how long does the dye stay in your hair for? How long?
It depends on the dye, but it's like around a month. I think it's just because I bleached it for years, so it goes, so it washes up quickly. But around a month.
Ah, so so your natural hair is quite dark, and in order for a color to take, you have to bleach it first and then dye on top of the bleach. Yes, is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last summer I had the idea that I might try to do something with my beard, because my beard is turning a bit like Santa-like, and I was thinking about either green or blue in terms of a beard, but I didn't feel brave enough for this. But maybe this summer, because there's a lockdown, I might try a different color, because it's like, yeah, so, yeah, that's something.
I mean, go for it.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's the lockdown, you have time, no one's gonna see it anyway, or just like you're a student, so it doesn't.
Yeah, so I might do, in
I
fact.
wanted to shave off my eyebrows.
Yeah, all right, good. And it washes out after about a month anyway, yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so no more questions, Gabriela, that's it, just the one about Polish. Yeah. Did you understand what I was saying, Poproszę faktura?
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand how you could not understand it being Polish.
Okay, all right. So I feel happier now because at least you understood me. Yeah. So thank you, Gabriel. All right. Okay. Next question.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear someone now.
Okay. In order to hear me, you can see me. So I'm sorry, but hi. Pleasure to meet you. My question is, how can you find time for writing, teaching, traveling, etc. in the same time?
I'm quite lazy. I don't seem to be very, very busy. Most of the time I'm the other side of this desk, lying down on my sofa reading a book. So I'm not that busy. I'm looking for a bicycle at the moment. If somebody has a bicycle for sale around 300 zlotys, then please tell Chris and I will happily buy it. I want a 28-inch bicycle because I need to get healthier, and that's what I plan to do. I have a lot of time on my hands, especially with this lockdown. So I want a bicycle. I do have a bicycle, but it's too small and my knees hit the handlebars. So I need a 28-inch adult bicycle. If someone has one for sale, cheap. So I have a lot of time on my hands and too much time. I would like lots more lessons. So if anyone wants a Skype lesson, contact me and I can teach you the best English in Gorzów. Okay. Yeah. No, next question.
Okay.
That's all? Just one question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yes. You're C3PO? That's a C3PO, yes? Yes. Bye, C3PO. Yes. Okay.
Bye, thank you.
And I think we've run out of questions.
Okay. That's a pity. I can make some tea now, though, because my coffee, I didn't get a chance to drink it, is quite cold. So I will make tea. So, yes, thank you, Chris. Yeah. And everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you. And the same to everyone. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So ask me again. I'm happy to join. So yeah. Okay. All right. Nice speaking to all of you. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, sir.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye, sir.
Bye.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. You're the best.
Goodbye.
Bye.